And welcome back, everyone. It's Dina Calmetta here with CWW7 News. And for today's broadcast, I'd like to bring you guys a quick military news update. We're going to talk about the United States and North Korea, as well as Russia and China in the U.S., and also Iran, Israel, and Syria. But I'd first like to start with this report from RT News. And apparently, Senator Graham is warning the Pentagon that they should move U.S. military families from South Korea ahead of a possible war. Here's that report. Senator Graham believes that the U.S. is getting close to a military conflict with North Korea. He said it's crazy to send spouses and children to South Korea given the provocation of North Korea. So I want the Pentagon to stop sending dependents, and I think it's now time to start moving American dependents out of South Korea. We're getting close to a military conflict because North Korea is marching toward marrying up the technology of an ICBM with a nuclear weapon on top that can not only get to America, but deliver the weapon. We're running out of time, he said. And Senator Graham isn't the only one in the U.S. government that believes that we are headed towards war with North Korea. National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster said Saturday that the potential of war with North Korea is increasing every day. He said the greatest immediate threat to the United States and to the world is the threat posed by the rogue regime in North Korea. The report goes on further to state that experts have confirmed that the missile, which North Korea has called the most powerful ICBM, could have followed a trajectory that would have put the U.S. East Coast within range. However, it remains unclear if North Korea has the technology to mount a heavy nuclear warhead on a long-range missile. Fox News is reporting that North Korea lambasted the U.S. and South Korea on Sunday for bringing the countries to the brink of a nuclear war, a day before the allies began a joint military drill in a defiant show of force against Kim Jong-un less than a week after the regime launched an intercontinental ballistic missile. North Korea's state-run newspaper wrote in a commentary on Sunday that the upcoming military drill is an all-out provocation against the rogue nation that may lead to a nuclear war at any moment. Such drills is a dangerous provocation, as it is driving the tension on the Korean peninsula to the brink of a nuclear war. The U.S. and the South Korean puppet forces are so foolish as to run amok with such stealth fighters. The commentary added that the stealth fighters, which the enemies boast so much of, will not escape the fate of a tiger moth. It goes on further to state that U.S. and South Korea are expected to begin a 5-day military drill called Vigilant Ace on Monday. About 12,000 U.S. troops will join South Korean forces, along with 230 aircraft will participate in the drill, according to Reuters. The drill, used to simulate wartime defenses, was scheduled before Wednesday's missile launch. A U.S. Air Force official also said F-22 stealth fighters and an F-5 aircraft will partake of the drills. And Newsweek is reporting that Russia is preparing for a North Korean war. And this is coming from the head of Moscow's Security Council. The chairman of Russia's Security Council stated that we find ourselves practically on the border with them. If there are military actions, and you know that some countries have not ruled them out, then there can be many various problems caused, including for us as well. But we must not allow this. Apparently, a day after the regime in North Korea launched its latest missile test, Russia's armed forces announced they were holding drills, this time drafting Marines to practice landing on a nearby beachhead. The statement gave no reason for the drill, but stated that they would undergo a series of military training drills before the end of the year. Moscow's policy has been so far to shadow China's call for both Washington and North Korea to agree to talks, with the U.S. pledging to scale back reinforcement of Japan and South Korea, and with North Korea vowing to end its ongoing pursuit of nuclear missiles. And speaking of Russia and China, Sputnik News is reporting that U.S. Air Force General John E. Hyten has alleged that China and Russia have reportedly been developing capabilities, including jamming and laser weapons that can target military assets of the United United States based in space. The U.S. Air Force general stated that our adversaries have been watching us ever since the first Gulf War. The Chinese and the Russians in particular, for the last 20 plus years have been watching what we have been doing in developing capabilities, and they have not been secret about it. According to the general, Moscow and Beijing were allegedly building those capabilities to challenge the United States and its allies, as well to change the balance of power in the world. Hyten acknowledged that there were currently no rules of engagement when it comes to military conflict in space, adding that international norms were needed. It goes on further to state that Russia has repeatedly warned against the militarization of space. The leaders of the BRICS countries, including China and Russia, have called on world states to carry out the peaceful exploration in outer space and in accordance with international law, stressing that outer space should remain free from any kind of weapons and use of force. And the Daily Star is reporting that Russian and Chinese killer robots are set to rule the world and dominate the United States. Carrie Bingen, Secretary of Defense for Intelligence, warned the two powers were making huge advances in their tech and were advancing on the U.S. The findings came from an earth-shattering report that claimed the U.S. has rapidly fallen behind its rivals and must now decide if it wants to lead the coming revolution or fall victim to it. Robert Work, a former deputy of SDI, said the Pentagon needed to pour billions into researching advanced computing and robotics, or risk Russia developing murderous AI machines. It goes on further to state that President Putin believes the country will develop the best AI and become the ruler of the world. The Russian military is building drones, robots, and cruise missiles that could make deadly decisions without the need of humans. Express News is reporting that back in July, China unveiled a detailed roadmap outlining a national plan to prioritize the application of AI and lead the world in new technology, which is posed to guide both commercial and military development. And apparently China has spent billions of dollars to surpass the US as the world leader in AI by the year 2030. So here we see another arms race, this time with robots. And it sounds crazy, you guys, but it's actually taking place. And I will definitely leave links in the description so that you can check on the sources for yourselves if you would like to. But let's move on and talk about Israel and Iran. RT News is reporting that a CIA chief and Benjamin Netanyahu threatened Iran over presence in Iraq and Syria. Israel and the U.S. won't tolerate Iran's presence in Syria and Iraq as it goes against their interests. The warnings follow an Israel strike against a military facility near Damascus. In a video message released hours after missiles struck targets near Damascus, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the Iranian military presence in Syria poses a threat to Israel and would not be tolerated. He said, "Let me reiterate Israel's policy. We will not allow a regime hell-bent on the alienation of the Jewish state to acquire nuclear weapons. We will not allow that regime to entrench itself militarily in Syria as it seeks to do for the express purpose of eradicating our state." The missile strike, which occurred just after midnight on Saturday, is said to have destroyed a Syrian weapons depot, although some reports claim the attack targeted an Iranian military facility allegedly being built in the area. It goes on further to state that Netanyahu's warning to Tehran coincides with a similar statement made by CIA Director Mike Pompeo about the Iranian military presence in Iraq. He said Saturday that he sent a letter to the leader of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and its elite force warning Tehran not to interfere with American interests in Iraq. However, the letter was left unopened. And it goes on finally to state that Russia has downplayed accusations that Iran's part in the anti-terror operations is a cover for sinister intentions. The Russian foreign minister stated, "We do not have any information that someone is preparing an attack on Israel." Right now, everybody is lining up for Ezekiel 38:39, as well as Isaiah 17:1, and of course Matthew 24:6 and 7, that there will be wars and rumors of wars. Bible prophecy taking place right before our very eyes. I will continue to keep you guys updated as these reports continue to be developed, but please do leave your comments in the comment section. Tell me what you think. I would love to hear from you. Also, please do come and visit us on Facebook, where we have these stories and many more, as well as our website at www.cww7news.org. All right, you guys, I will see you in my next video. God bless.